This one's about a very dear friend of mine. True story. Ali was a refugee, was forced to flee from home. From religious persecution from Iran he roamed. He never really said that much. I know he got to Turkey, found a boat and left that shore. Smuggled, desperate, furtive. He was put on Christmas Isle, a prison in the sea, where he learnt the helplessness of Aussie refugees. He left home at 21, got here at 23. The things he'd done and seen and felt he rarely shared with me. He got stuck up in Darwin, processed, stamped and freed. A poor man with no English. He ached for family. He ached for food and clothes from home. He missed his motorbike. Through rough and snow-topped mountains Ali used to ride. He used to take the thing apart and build it up again. He used to sit and smoke and talk with all the younger men. All things philosophical caught his attention pure. A bright one, always curious, he opened many doors. He left behind a grocery store that he used to run. Down inside its basement, his mates would meet for fun. He'd owned his own apartment. It was his family's gift. Then wound up here with nothing. A massive culture shift. He worked hard as cheap labour. He sent himself to school, learnt to read and write and speak. Ali was real cool. Ali was an addict who'd kicked its chains off, true. Never touched a drug again. He'd seen what ice could do. But in Iran, when he got clean, he found a place to trust, where his abhorrence of God was accepted and discussed. But then was forced by threat of death to leave within a week, unless he chose the easy path to relinquish his beliefs. Ali was an atheist, and Ali was no fool. He read from existentialists, philosophy his tool. But here, when he found what he thought a haven for the clean, discovered only cultish rules, a letdown to his dream. But still, he tried for several years to make this land his home. It was all so different, so rich, so bland, so cold. Ali asked me questions like, why can't men cry here? Or, why don't men friends kiss and touch? He hated all our fears. Why don't you talk at bus stops? Why can't you share a stranger's laugh? Why are kiosks dirty? All this and more bewildered him. He found us shallow, hard. Ali was a pacifist. He worshipped Kurt Cobain, but strangers called him terrorist before they knew his name. He got a job as kitchen hand, he thought the others fools, saw more to life than washing up and went further on in school. An old age carer he became, left restaurants far behind. He bought a car and read Camus to stimulate his mind. Camus wrote of outsiders. Ali truly felt alone. We tried to offer comfort, to give the guy a home, but Ali wouldn't listen. It got him in the end. Where there was hope, he heard it not, was rigid, wouldn't bend. And while he had that caring job, he leased a single flat and left behind what friends he'd made and holed up like a rat. Ali honoured suicide, Camus and Kurt Cobain. He couldn't see the joy of life. He lived in lonely pain, but still he strove to grow and learn. Entered university, studied hard to be a nurse, but could not break free from all the loss of family love, his culture, food and land. He wouldn't talk to Muslims, felt they didn't understand. Alone he walked by haunted choice, a young man in his prime, once smart and funny, cheeky, kind. Poor Ali lost his mind. He fell into the chasm that men like him can go, took his life. left a note asking to be thrown into the flames, then to the sea, the place from whence he'd come. But Ali got no final wish. Even that was gone. They gave a Muslim burial that Ali would have hated, full of chants and ritual. His parents' needs were sated. It was weird around that grave as we dropped handfuls of dirt upon the cheap-built casket. The people there were curt. Strangers from Afghanistan had come to pay respects. None of them had known him, his strengths or his defects. They stood to one side of the grave and we stood to the other. In a different form of his home tongue, they spoke of him as brother. We tried to mix, but they were tight. Perhaps held us to blame. They filmed the ritual for home. We didn't grieve the same. We tried to share what we all felt, the sadness and the shock, the tragedy, the helplessness. But words were not enough. His presence still dwells in my house. I see him every day in the photo on my pantry with his final words from Facebook. I think he almost prayed. A simple quote from cruel Camus, who talked up suicide, that speaks of love and joy and hope. May he have that now he's died.